driving me crazy just looking at it. Combing your hair with your hand gives me feelings I don't understand. Combing your hair with your hand gives me feelings I don't understand. You do this thing when you're biting your lip, it's driving me crazy just looking at it. You know me better than I know myself. I don't wanna live in a world without you. You do this thing when you're biting your lip, it's driving me crazy just looking at it. You know me better than I know myself. I don't wanna live in a world without you. World without you. Driving me crazy just looking at it. World without you. Driving me crazy just looking at it. You do this thing when you're biting your lip. Without you, driving me crazy just looking at it. Driving me crazy just looking at it. Combing your hair with your hand gives me feelings I don't understand. Combing your hair with your hand gives me feelings I don't understand. You do this thing when you're biting your lip, it's driving me crazy just looking at it. You know me better than I know myself. I don't wanna live in a world without you. You do this thing when I'm talking to you, like everything freezes and it's just you. You do this thing when I'm talking to you, like everything freezes and it's just you. You do this thing when you're biting your lip, it's driving me crazy just looking at it. You know me better than I know myself. I don't wanna live in a world without you. Give it to me like world without you. Just looking at it. World without you. Driving me crazy just looking at it. You do this thing when you're biting your lip. World without you. Driving me crazy just looking at it. Driving me crazy just looking at it. You do this thing when you're biting your lip, it's driving me crazy just looking at it. You know me better than I know myself. I don't wanna live without you.
Morning everyone, hope it's all good for everyone. Hope people are slowly getting over that sorry abysmal performance by England yesterday. After the game I thought, you know what, I was going to have a rant about it. Obviously I had a bit of a rant at Brian's show. I knew I'd end up having a bit of a stress out about it today, so I thought, you know what, I'll actually book it a bit early, tell people a bit earlier that I'm going on there. Makes change than just leaving it to the last 20 minutes. Actually, quite a nice day out there. So I've got about an hour to spare before I've got to go out and jet wash the whole patio and everything else. That's going to be a long afternoon. I mean, the question is, in a way, where do I actually start with this? I mean, we saw what did not work in that first game. I didn't think it was a bad idea in the first game. He tried Trent Alexander-Arnold in the middle. I know Liverpool only done it a couple of times, but when they did, it sort of worked. I thought, you know what? Worth a try. It didn't work, did it? And everybody could see it blatantly didn't work. It didn't work with Foden out on the left either. Not at all. Okay, Bellingham as the 10. Yep, worked fine. Kane, we all know he had a dodgy game anyway. But it was obvious what the problems were. And I would have thought coming into this game, he would have realised the problems and thought, right, I've got to try and fix these problems and get something working for the later games so that when we get through and then go to the knockout stages, we're fully prepared. No, they put exactly the same team now. Southgate, his tactics, if he's even got any tactics, and just the way, to me, it just looks like the fella has not got a single clue in what he's doing. when it just goes wrong that much in the first game, how can you go and make the same mistakes again in the second game to literally basically have to make the same subs? Will he change this for the next game? Do you know what? It really wouldn't surprise me if he just started with Trent in the middle. I mean, what was the excuse he used after? Something along the lines of, we're testing things at the moment and still trying to find the right replacement for Calvin Phillips. Like Calvin Phillips was that important. I mean, seriously? One second, just got to take the light on. That's better. Yeah, I mean, come on, Calvin Phillips isn't that hard to replace, is he? Surely he was not that important to the England team. And I don't know about everyone else, but I think it's quite a simple problem there. And I think it's quite simple to fix, really. I've been saying when I've been on other shows and that, and I try not go into it too much on this one, but to me, everything about this England team, from the way the problems are, the way the team runs and everything else, it just reminds me too much of Spurs. Wrong style, wrong tactics, wrong formation, players in their wrong positions, not playing to the best of their ability because they're not playing their perfect style. To me, it's just, it's literally got the same problems as Spurs. But before going to the players and that, obviously going to say hello to a few people. I know it's early in the morning, so probably won't get much on here today. But like I say, it's good. I've got a busy day today. And Rady Yid, morning, Dan. Hope you're good, buddy. I'm all right. Bit stressed out after last night. I think everyone is. But all good. Hope you're good as well. Lisa, morning, Dan and chat. I hope you're all good. Much love. Same to you too. I hope you're having a good morning. And same as I'll just say this once for everyone. Hope you're recovering from the game yesterday. Because otherwise I'll repeat it 100 times. Tony, big up. Dan, big up to you too, mate. Always see you on here. And who else we got here? LSPI, big up to you. Mark, how we doing, mate? Hope everything's good for you. Morning, Dan. Hope all's good. And Wayne, morning, Dan. Morning with you as well. And yeah, of course, I got my coffee, mate. I think after that last night, I needed a bit more than a coffee this morning still, but it's not really good to start drinking at 10:30 in the morning. Ben Foster, good morning. What's happened yesterday? I will take that as sarcasm. But morning to you too. Ryan, happy Friday, Dan and chat. Happy day to you too, mate. Alex, morning to you too. Mark, morning, Dan, morning to you too. What's Alex Scott saying here? Southgate restricts every player on that team, leaving Grealish and Maddison was insane. No. But yes. Now with that, with what you've said there, again, it's the same sort of problem I see at Spurs, yeah? He's not playing specific players. The perfect example I'll give for us quickly is Porro. For me, you'll get the most out of him as an overlapping wingback all day long. But we play him inverted. Basuma, he's not a box-to-box defensive player, but that's how we use him. Things like that, I mean, playing a player not to their best. Leaving Grealish and Maddison was insane. No, Maddison didn't deserve to be there. Full stop. Now, if you look at the game yesterday, do you know what? It was one of the things I said, and one of the things my mate said to me, in his own way, coming towards the last 20 minutes of that game, Maddison would have been the perfect player we needed there. Or perfect sort of player. Playmaker. Someone who can put a direct ball in there. Someone who can spot it. Someone who can actually see a good, solid pass. So I'm making right in that aspect. But no, Maddison don't deserve to be there. Maddison's season was awful, bar the first 10 games. Simple as that. He don't deserve to be in that team. He hasn't done enough in that league to warrant to be in that team. It's all good us saying it now because the team looks like it's doing terrible. But the one I will agree with you on is Grealish. Now, I understand Grealish didn't have the best seasons either, really, did he? But I think that was criminal leaving him out of the team when on the left-hand side is actually one of our weaker places. So I I agree on what you said, but Maddison didn't deserve to be there. But yeah, he could have been a big help yesterday in where we would have needed someone to set something up. He would have been the ideal player there, but he didn't deserve to get in that England team. Not for me, anyway. Philly 2109, morning, mate. Big up. Good morning, Dan, and everyone in the chat. Playing Trent in the middle should have been done in the friendlies like Iceland. That's when you would have thought he tried that stuff out. I can even get it that he tried it in the first game. I don't hold nothing for him for that one. But when you see that something does not work, what do? You fix it as quick as you can. Or do you do what a lot of people like to do? Well, I find a lot of people with Tottenham doing everything. And that's just, you know what? Don't worry about the problem. Just ignore it. It'll go away. It'll fix itself. Bollocks will it? Problems don't fix themselves. Not usually. 9 times out of 10, you've got to see a problem to fix the problem. It was blatantly a problem that Trent Alexander-Arnold was in the middle. So go and fix it. It was obvious as that. As I've said again, this team we've got here, this England team, and we've always had this problem with England, is a solid, good team there. Player by player. But as a team, as a set of 11 together, it just really don't seem to work, does it? There's something not right about it. And that's where the manager has to take their own responsibility of what he needs to change and what he needs to do. If he goes and puts Trent Alexander in the middle again for the next game, I don't actually know what to say when it comes to it. And I don't think anyone else will. But you're totally right. He should have tried this stuff in the friendlies. And we've now got to get it right and at least get a draw or win in our next game. Obviously, I want us to get a win because if we finish second and it looks like Germany are going to win their one, if I've got it right, then we'll have the Germans in the next round if we finish second. I might be wrong, but that's what I checked up and looked at it and made out. And the way the Germans look to us, they will wipe the floor of us. Well, if you're going to be realistic, the way anybody looks at us at the moment, they're going to wipe the floor of us. Alex hasn't got a clue how to break down low blocks. Nope, totally agree. And Benjamin Foster, imagine supporting Spurs in England. Life's too short. It is, isn't it? But I don't think. Sorry, I didn't put that up on there. Yeah, imagine supporting Spurs in England. Life's too short. Yeah, tell me about it. But if anyone thinks I'm making a wrong sort of relation here, there is so much similarities to this England issues that there is Spurs issues as such, down to the way you've just got the manager just playing that team he's got the wrong way for the players he's got, and he's so set in playing his way. That's what I find is at Spurs at the moment as well. And Southgate, his biggest problem is he plays old school English football. People think Conte and Mourinho play old school football, fossil football, whatever they want to call it, yeah? Well, if that's fossil football and that, then what the hell is Southgate? I mean, when you've got a team that's got that much attacking class in it, that has literally got the power to play any other team with the attitude of you score 3, we score 4. And I get you have to support your weak spots, but play on your strengths. And we don't do it. England does not do it. And at the moment, we went into that tournament as the favourites. Not just one of. In practically everything I see, we went in as the favourites. And then they're saying on all stuff like TalkSport and everything else, except for Simon Jordan, who he seems to usually get it right, that fella. Whether he's a prick or not, he seems to always get it. He gets it right. But people saying on there, like, England is the last team anyone wants to play. No one will want to play against England. They're going to be scared of England. Yeah, on paperwork. Now, after those 2 games, we're probably the team that everyone wants to play. Because you can see the team is busted. You can see the manager is busted. The way the players were yesterday, have they lost faith in the manager and despise the way he plays them that much? Or is it that they really just don't work together that well? Or is it just that the players look like they didn't even give a toss either? And you're playing for England, for God's sake. All right, if you ain't liking the way the manager's doing it and you're not getting on with this and that, but playing for your club's one thing. But playing for your country, you should be willing to give it 110% no matter what. Whether you're getting on with a player, whether you get on with a manager, whether you like his style, whatever. And it didn't even look like that. I'd say 9 out of the 11 players on there actually even give a toss. It really didn't. It was that bad. It was terrible. What's Alex saying? We could have hired a Sunday League manager to play completely safe for €100 per game. Yeah. I mean, not much I can answer to that, mate. You're right. And Wayne, Calvin Harris is more effective than yeah. Calvin Klein's probably more effective than them, mate. And what a waste of creative talent. It is. It's such an attacking creative team in so many ways, and we just play defensive. And Mark, I don't care anymore. England have constantly let me down my whole life. Again, what's the difference between England and Spurs? Do you know what? At one point, it honestly had me. Now, this is going to sound awful, yeah? At one point, I think on about 80 minutes, something like that, it basically had me to a point at the game where I was on the phone to my mate, just both saying how the game was just terrible, and how we'd also spoke on how I think it's quite easy to fix the problem. There's my mate I was talking to, Michael. Morning to you, mate. How you doing? Even though you are a Liverpool supporter, but on this one, it's all England. And it almost had me at the point, and my mate Mike agreed with me, like, do you know what? Just go and lose the game. Just go lose it. You know, just to top it, just go lose it. Get kicked out of the bloody tournament for all I care right now. And just as long as you get Southgate out of there, I couldn't care less. That is literally what I was feeling at one point. That run down watching that game. Obviously, I don't want England to lose. Obviously, I want us to win the tournament. And a lot of people have said, me being one of them, I don't care how we do it, as long as we go and win something. Again, I can go back and relate that to Spurs now, can't I? Does anyone on here really... I know there's people who do care about how you play and everything and want to see a good game of football and everything else. But as long as you go and win the thing, at the end of it, I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't care because we've won it. It'd be the same story with Spurs. But then you get the people, we obviously want to see good football as well, a good game. We want to see us dominate a game and everything else. But if we end up playing this bad and somehow winning the tournament, which I really don't think is going to happen, how many people will actually complain? It'd be at the end of the day, well, you won it, so shut up. Yeah, but playing that bad, I don't know if I can handle watching England playing another game like that. It has got to be the worst game, even though we didn't lose it, that I've seen England play. I mean, depressing was an understatement. In Philly 2109, Walton and Manio could easily replace Phillips. It's just another excuse from Southgate for failure. Totally agree with you, mate. And there's other ways to go around this one as well. And Alex, it's like the FA are pro-Europe and want to hinder England from ever winning by hiring a Sunday League quality manager. Yeah. Now relate that to Spurs again. The FA just want their manager to be a little bitch, basically. A man who will just shut up, try and do his job, and won't relate nothing back to them or anything. It's got Spurs written all over it again, isn't it? Maybe it's just me keep seeing these similarities, but... And Phil P, morning, mate. Hope you're all good. Big up, mate. Hope all's good despite it all. Yep, same to you, mate. And Peter, what are you saying there? Hi all, 7:40 p.m. in Melbourne. Cool, 7:40. Yeah, I mean, here it's what, 20 to 11 at the moment and just starting to get nice and warm. Phil P, Phil Army, same to you, mate. R709, big up, Dan. Big up to you too. Mark, what are you saying here? Morning, mate. What would you do in regards to Foden and Bellingham? Right. Okay. Now, that is easily fixable. It's like it used to be with Lampard and Gerrard. and Scholes when he did play. But it was mainly due to Lampard and Gerrard trying to get them two on the pitch at the same time. One of them was always played out of position. If you would have had them two now, there wouldn't have even been an issue fixing it. But it's just the different styles of football over the past decade, 15 years, whatever. For me, as all we do is take Trent Alexander off and put Bellingham there. Put Bellingham as the box-to-box, so he can also go forward and cover a 10 space when the 10 goes forward, and have him so he can also come back as a box-to-box and defend it as well. He's not an out-and-out defensive player, but he is good enough to be a ball-winning midfielder to cover Declan Rice as well when needs be. And then as all you do with that is then you move Foden over into the middle and play him at his number 10, which he is best at, and everybody knows that. And then you've got a choice of players you put on the left. I mean, if you want to put the natural player on the left, I feel you get more out of a natural player in a position than you do a better player as such. You go and put Golden on the left. But now we're going to that point, a lack of experience, where we could do with Grealish there. Someone who's got a bit of experience. But go and stick Golden there. Go and stick Palmer there even though I know Palmer's more on the right, but either way. But go and stick Golden there if you want your natural left there. And for me, that's problem solved. Foden is a better player than Golden. Overall, as a player. More complete. But playing Foden not to his best and trying to use him as a left winger compared to someone who is a natural left winger, you're going to see the best out of the natural one, in my opinion. And there we go. I think we go and do that. And I think that's half of our biggest problem solved. Because Bellingham can also pass the ball. I wouldn't say he's a great out-and-out playmaker. He's a much better attacker than he is defender. But he would work fine in that 8-to-8 place. And then get the ball to Foden. When did Foden actually look at his best in that game? Because I don't actually think he had the worst of games compared to his first game. When you see him get in the middle about 3 different times, nearly at the halfway spot, he got the ball and run straight through the middle and then realised that he just run past Kane because Kane was dropped so deep and so was Bellingham and he had no one to pass to. So he had to pass it out wide, and by then everyone was back and we was back to square one again. But with what I've just said there, if anyone else sees it in a different way too, mate, tell me. But to me, it is that simple to fix. That's all they have to do is just change 2 positions, put one player, put Bellingham in the middle, Foden as to 10, go stick Golden on the left. Problem solved. Philly 2109, big up Phil, yeah, and Phil P at Philly 2109. Huge love, brother. Hope all's well. Hope all's good to you both. Alex, you need a Maddison to help break down the low blocks. He's gifted on the ball and had to play like with Kulu. Again, Maddison last night would have been a good choice. We could have used him from the 70 minutes, but I think Foden's more than capable of doing that. Like he had to play with Kulu, Johnson and Werner when he was used to playing that with Vardy, Barnes and Leicester. You're right. You are right. After 70, on the 70th minute, as such, we could have really, really used with Maddison there, playing as a number 10 position. But Foden's just as good. Foden is a better player than Maddison, more complete. I'd say the only thing Maddison is better than Foden at is possibly spotting that extra direct long ball. He's a bit more of a playmaker than Foden, I'd say. But that's about the only thing. I'd say Foden is a 10-fold better player than Maddison overall. More complete in bar 1 or 2 ways. So again, we stick Foden as the number 10. Problem solved. I'll probably end up repeating it 100 times. But Phil P, Grealish and Sancho look like they could have helped now, don't they? I don't know about Sancho, but Grealish, 100%. I mean, that's 2 games now. Palmer should have at least come on that game. It should have at least come on yesterday. The good thing, I say good thing, the only good thing I've actually seen Southgate actually do was suss out what happened in that first game. In that first game for me, I think Saka, Declan Rice was man of the match for me, or Guru, however you pronounce his name. But in the first half, I think Saka was our best player. He had an excellent first half in the first game we played. And then Serbia come out and they'd already, so the manager basically just said to him, look, there's an easy way around this. The boy's mugging you off. Go and take his legs out. Go and throw him about. Go and muscle him up. As soon as they got physical with us, England folded. Saka got bossed about, like just punched about. And then he brought Bowen on. And Bowen actually took bigger fella, bit more physical, sort of brought us back into the game a bit more to an extent, and covered that right wing much better than Saka could, because he can handle the physicality better. But that is about the only good thing I've seen Southgate do. But Grealish, I think that was criminal that we didn't take him, because he was definitely, I mean, Sancho, when he went over to Dortmund, he actually done pretty well, didn't he? But Grealish is the one that I'm just shocked that he left out. Philly 2109. Enough love, my friend. Getting better slowly. Hope you are as well. Well, hope everything's all right for you. You say you're getting better slowly, so I hope everything's good for you. Rob Frank at Phil, most definitely. At Phil P, question, is there a special type of therapy for people that follow Spurs in England? Yeah, there is. Go onto YouTube and have a rant about it, and that's about the only thing you can do, mate. because everywhere else you go, if they're not a Spurs supporter, they just laugh at you. So, and Peter, morning to you, mate. This England team, best I've seen. Otherwise, they need to get Ange's front foot football. Now, you know what? That is something I've said, and I think it's quite mad. I think Ange actually would be a much better manager right now than Southgate for England. Because with Ange's style of play, it would suit this England team and the players so much more. He's actually got those sort of players in that England team to play that he wants to play at Spurs. Again, the question is, would it work overall? Because we'd still be conceding goals, but we've got enough power in that team to play you score 3, we score 4, like I said earlier. I don't think Ange's system will ever work in a team like the Premiership, in the Premiership, over 38 games. But this isn't 38 games. This isn't a season. This is 7 or 8 games. Can't remember how much it is, 7 or 8 games. And you can win a cup with that tactics. And we've basically got the perfect English players, especially up front, to play how Ange wants to play with Spurs. Maybe it's just me who sees that one, but it's quite comical but frustrating. And Alex Southgate is pantsing now, playing players out of position. Yep. He's just reverting to try and get a 1-0 lead and then defend the rest of the game, which is already proven don't work. That's what he did against Italy, and then he got totally outdone in it. In the end, we lost because of it. When you're playing an international team and you're playing international football, unless your defence is that absolute solid, and even then you're taking a gamble. Now, I get it. If it's on the 80th minute and you go 1-0 up and then you want to go and defend, I get that. I can understand that. But when you go 1-0 up like yesterday in 18 minutes and then go into a defensive manner, when you're playing against international teams, they've all got players that are in the international team for a reason, because they are that good and they are more than capable of scoring a goal or defending or whatever else. And again, I relate England to Spurs. We seem to get that one goal and then sit back and then just come back. Whether it's the manager tells them to or whatever, I don't know, but the team seems to come back. But we all know that's how Southgate plays, so we know they're doing what Southgate says. But Ange don't necessarily want to play like that. But when you're playing international level, you are playing against the best. That is why they're in their international team. And Rob Frank says, yeah, he's called drugs and alcohol. Yeah, leave the drugs one out of it. And Philly 2109, big up Dan, big up to you too, mate. The ostrich approach, if I bury my head in the ground, the problem will go away. Yeah, that's how a lot of people seem to see a lot of things. Brady Yid, Southgate out, Eddie Howe. Yeah, I see next thing. I mean, who do people see as the next England manager after this? Because surely there's got to be another one. I personally think it's going to be Potter. And Rob Frank, yeah, to an extent, certainly wouldn't want Ange in charge of England. No, I can get it, but his tactics, his style would suit this England set of team more than Southgate's. It's an attacking style, and it's a very attacking team that we've got there of capability. And Phil saying to Ray, hope you're good and the family are good as well, Geezer. And Peter saying, Rob Frank, at least we would have them attacking. That is what I'm saying. This team is very, very attacking motivated. So we go and play defensive football. Right, I'll just go for a couple more here to try and catch up with people. And Alex says, play the players in their best positions that they're used to at club level. It's not rocket science. Exactly. This is what I keep telling people, yeah? You can have a very mediocre team now, but if you go get everybody in the right position, play into their best with the right tactics that match that team, you can look a bang average team look very good. I'm not saying you'll make them look world class or nothing like that, but you will make an average team significantly up a level or two if everyone is playing to their strengths, everyone is playing in their right position, and you're using a tactic, style, whatever you want to put it, that suits the team. We obviously don't do that at Spurs, and they obviously don't do that at England. And Phil P at Philly2109, keep on keeping on, one step at a time in it. You're getting there, massive love. And Rich, morning all, morning to you too. Audio, morning Dan and chat, morning to you too. Clement, morning up Dan, morning to you. Hope everything's good. And Phil saying thank you for the kind words. Ben Foster, what are you saying here now? Times have changed. National teams do not respect England anymore, ever since about 2004. Mate, I don't think national teams have ever really respected England because we've never bloody won or done anything. I could understand when you look at player for player and you look at this team before we played our first game, you could sit there and I could understand why some people would say, like they do on TalkSport, England is a team we don't really want to come across. Look at the quality they've got. But then they go and watch our first two games. We're probably the first team anyone had picked to play against now because the team itself is just a total mess. And Alex, Southgate might as well have put Kane in defence. He's hardly getting any service. This is one thing, again, we're back at the point, and Clement, big up everyone, big up to you too, is where Kane has now got a number 10 there with him. He doesn't have to come back. He's got that number 10 now. But is it just something natural in Kane now, where he played for Spurs so long and having to come back and be the number 10, as well as the striker, that he almost does it naturally? But he didn't have to do that at Munich. And then you look at that England team, where it came so far back on itself. There was many a time we did get the ball and Kane weren't up there to pass the ball to. But what are you expecting him to do when he's just sitting up there on his own and he's had about one or two touches of the ball? Because no one's getting the ball to him. So he thinks, do you know what? I've had enough of this. I'm just going to do what I've always done. Come back into a number 10 on midfield. Try and get the ball myself to even get it to someone or to just try and do something in the game. Because otherwise, he's just sitting up there with one touch of the ball in the first half. I mean, how many times, apart from the goal he scored, I mean, it's all good even saying like Timo Werner could have scored that goal. But the point is, Kane was there, he scored the goal. But apart from that, how many times did he even touch the ball? I doubt we're in double figures. And Dave R, morning, mate. Hope everything's good for you, mate. And I'll speak to you very soon because going to have to get you on the show again soon, mate. And just harmless potato. Hello, all. Oh, let me start again. Hello, all big up. Dan, big up to you too, mate. And Zagrom, if I even say that name. Should Southgate be sacked if they draw or lose the next game? Bring Klopp in. The point is, we're at the moment, he shouldn't have even started the tournament in my eyes. He should have already been gone by then. But they're not going to do the only one club that I ever known has done, and that is sack a manager at half time. And who is that only club? Spurs. Well, they're doing everything the way Spurs seem to be doing it, so maybe they would. But yeah, Southgate ain't going nowhere until the end of the season. And Rich, what are you saying here? I can't recall seeing an England team so disorganised. They have not prepared for international tournament whatsoever. And now the thing is, the way Southgate has this lot playing is so rigid, so stiff, no fluid in it. I mean, in that first 30 minutes against Serbia, we actually looked quite fluid. And then after that, I mean, yesterday, how stiff does one game want to get? I mean, the players, they just all of a sudden they don't know each other. Now, I get an international team working together. They don't all play in the same team in football in league level, so they're not going to know each other as well. But if you look at a lot of other countries, like Germany being one of the main ones, they have their month off over Christmas. A lot of people don't actually know what the German league does in its month off over Christmas. Yeah, most of the players get a month off. 24 of them, 30 of them don't actually. The international team makes up and practices together in that month off. Go and check it up on the internet, whatever else you want. A lot of people don't actually know that. And the England team, the international team, German team, meets up over their winter break and they have a bit of practice together. But then when can England do that? They don't, because we don't give our league no time off. So you can't even blame them for that. But it just looked so distraught yesterday that just nobody knew what anything or anyone was going to do or anyone was going to be. I don't know how to keep on describing this game, except the word for it is just bad. It was just so shocking. So I'm going to go through my opinion on the players in a minute and just say hello to a couple more. We will win on a Monday and go straight through to round 16. I think we will. I agree. But then from there, that's when it's going to get very different. I mean, if we finish first in that league, I don't know who we're playing. But if we finish second, as far as I know, we're playing Germany. And we should win that game against Slovenia next. Easy. But then we should have just done Denmark. Maybe not slightly as easier, but we should have just done Denmark. And we should have done Serbia a lot easier than we did. As all Serbia did with us was get physical. That is all they did. They got physical. We got punched back. And we only just won the game. Mark Cook, Southgate clueless. Yes, he is, mate. Ben, we at Tottenham just want to be entertained and a lovely trip to a club and shop afterwards. Yeah, and we don't even get that at Spurs most of the time. So neither here nor there in some aspects. Philly 2109, there's no point. Good football if there is no end product. That I totally agree with. I mean, if we end up playing this bad and winning the tournament, like I said, I'll be one of the ones who sits back and says, that was awful, terrible to watch. But you know what? We've won something, and finally, we've actually won something. And that is how I think a majority of people would also feel about Spurs, about England, whatever. But watching that was painful. And just going on before I start going through the team, Brian, I've just seen you alive. And well, mate, if you want to jump on, I just sent you a link. You're more than welcome. And then we can go through the players together if you wish. If you're busy, not a problem, mate. Right, Mark Cook, Southgate had enough chances, just same old dross from him. Yep. And Brian, good morning, everyone, and all in the chat. And brother Dan, hope you're good and doing well. Yeah, after a hard sleep last night, I'm feeling a bit better. And George, big up. And just harmless saying, big up to Brian. Alex, what are you saying here? It's simple. Southgate, sit down, shut up, and let the boys play their natural game, you stiff. Do you know what? If he just went on there and just said, play like a 5-3, or whatever formation you want to use, like 4-3-3, whatever you want to call it, yeah, 4-2-3, whatever way. It looks like we play a 4-2-3-1, and with that, yeah, Southgate, just tell them what formation to play and just sit back and shut up and let them do it. You'll probably get a lot more out of it. And Phil just saying hello to Brian, and Pete saying hello to Brian as well. Alfie, what are you saying here, mate? How have Gordon and Palmer and no combined minutes? I'm sorry, that is a sackable in itself. We need pace on the left to allow Kane to drop deep and then spray the ball to the wingers. I agree, mate. It's like I said, Chubb. Put Bellingham in the middle, take Trent off, move Foden, number 10, Gordon on the left, or Palmer. I think he could handle left, but Gordon is a natural left. And for me, it's the problem solved. It's done. And then we can take it from there. And England versus Italy in the quarters, when Italy finished second. And Alfie, what you're saying here, also, Luke Shaw needs to be back to make it more effective, in my opinion. Need a natural left footer at left back. It's not all fluid when you have a right footer at left back, although Trippier has been decent. Now, I agree with what you said there, but in other aspects, why was Luke Shaw even picked? He was only picked because he is a natural left wing back, yeah? Or left back, whatever. Trippier, for me, didn't actually have the worst of games. Our defence overall wasn't our weak spot, really. But with Trippier, you can go and relate this to Spurs again. It's the same as Kulusevski. Exactly the same problem. Kulusevski, on the right-hand side, he's left-footed. Every time he needs to put the ball in, every player knows it. They just step to his right-hand side because he's got to step to his left-hand side on his strong foot to get the ball in there. They've already sussed it. It's the same with Trippier. In the first game and in this game, there were a couple of occasions where you see, right, he got the ball and then he had to stop it, get onto his right-hand side, and by then he's already covered. You're 100% right in what you're saying. But I don't see what Luke Shaw's going to do. I mean, he had 9 months off through injury and hardly played any games last season. I honestly don't think he's going to do much of a better job there than Trippier. We haven't got a natural left back, wing back, bar Luke Shaw on there. I agree. So I see what you're saying, but I'd just keep Trippier there in that position. But we have got natural left wingers and we're not using them. And Mark Cook, it's shocking for me that Southgate hasn't played Palmer. Yeah, Palmer should have been seen in at least that second game, at least the game we just had with Denmark, especially if you're going and rating by players how they've played all season. Palmer has had an excellent season, so did Saka, but Palmer is definitely the better goal scorer, the one you're more likely to get a goal out of than Saka. So if it ain't working after 60, 70 minutes, and Denmark weren't exactly muscling us up like Serbia were, get Palmer on there, you've got more chance of getting a goal. I agree with that one. And then Alex Scott, exactly, Danny. Maddison would do as tricky backup 10 to service Kane, and Foden is being played out of position. He's clueless. Exactly. But Maddison did not deserve to be taken into that tournament. But now you step back and look at a couple of things and you realise, yeah, maybe he could have actually been useful there. But it is totally understandable why he didn't get taken, because his season overall was not good enough. And Steve D, what you're saying in here, saw so many people yesterday screaming out sub players yesterday. It makes no difference in this system. Kane and Foden were two of the best in Europe last year. It's not the players. It is partly the players because they didn't look interested either. I mean, yeah, you put most of it down to Southgate for playing them in the wrong positions and everything. But I think the players were significantly at fault yesterday as well, because they just did not look like they care. They didn't look like they couldn't care less. So it is down to some of the players as well. But again, when you're being played out of position, you're just going to end up losing faith in it. And I think everybody's agreeing on me now on what I'm saying with just the 3 little changes we got to make. Job solved, problem solved. And Kevin G, Phil and Ryan, try being Spurs and Ireland. I think I'd rather be Spurs and Ireland than Spurs and England. And Tony, England is going to turn it around. Yeah, sure, mate. Sure they are. Let's just hope, eh? And Scott saying, big up to all coys, big up to you too, mate. It's Tony, big up Brian. And just harmless potato, being better than Southgate is not really an achievement. That's what I'm saying. Do you know what? So there you go, boys. Play a 4-2-3-1. Get on with it. We'd see better out of them making their own decisions on what they're going to do on there. And Kevin G, Harry Red being overlooked for the England job was criminal by the FA, but sums up that it does. It does. So, right, what I'm going to go do, well, I've still got another 15, 20 minutes, is let's just say I personally rate how the players on this team went. I mean, for me, Pickford, he done nothing wrong. I actually think Pickford is a bit of an underrated goalkeeper. Now, you look at how he does in the league, considering he's got a team like Everton in front of him, he actually does pretty solid. Personally, I think Nick Pope is a better goalkeeper overall. But for England, you can't fault Pickford, really. I mean, the goal wasn't his fault. I mean, he couldn't have got any further across. He hit the post and went in. But Pickford, for me, I can give him a 7 because he did everything he had to do. That goal that went in was not his fault. There wasn't much else he could have done. And that first goal, that made it through, from what I counted, 5 England players. And no one even closed him down and let him have the shot. Why? He shouldn't even have to be diving to make a save there. The midfielders we had back, as well as the defence, should have already been going down on Denmark. But we give them nearly, 10 yards, 8 yards, 5 yards, whatever people want to say it, like 10 yards space. And he looked up and went, I'll have a shot. And he did. Bang, straight in the net. And it went through 5 England players. But Pickford, for me, apart from his little T-Rex arms, I think he's actually a good goalkeeper and he's always done solid for England. It's like another player you could say, Harry Maguire. I think he's a defender that you can miss in this England team because where we play so flat at the back and so far back, Harry Maguire is not actually as bad as people reckon. It's just if you go and play him at a team with the tactics like Spurs use or the tactics like Man U use, go forward so much, he's that slow that he can't come back on himself and it makes him look terrible. But for England, Maguire, again, is another one. He's always been solid. Always. And Pickford, for me, I'll give him a 7 because he really did nothing wrong. He did what he could do. And Chelsea supporter with a Man City badge. Okay. Hello, Danny. I'm a new sub. Good. Thanks for coming on, mate. And thanks for being a new sub. And what's Boonverse saying here? The England team is clueless and washed. Only one real player in their position to fight. Mark Guru, what a player. That is one player I'm going to come to in a minute. And Matt, what you're saying here, haven't won anything since the 60s, never won the Euros too. You're totally, it's right, it's true. It's why is anyone going to be scared of us as such? And it's like Mappin saying, yeah, Kane isn't fox in the box, goal poacher sort of striker. No, but he's more than capable of being like that. Kane is a complete striker. He can basically play any which way you want. And what we need is him to stay forward more and our team to push forward that bit more. Foden as the 10. And they can even use, or even if Kane stays forward, they can use Foden or Bellingham if they put in there, whichever way they do it. And play it as an old Spurs Kane and Dele Alli, where Kane used to sometimes hold the ball. Dele Alli get past him as the shadow striker and put it in the back of the net. You could do that with Bellingham and Kane. But one way or another, Trent Alexander's got to come off. And then we don't play Foden because, for me, Gordon's got to go on the left. There is things you can do with this team. But again, it's that one simple change I would make. I mean, Walker, for me, apart from that first bit where we got the goal and he got in place and got the pass, nothing, absolutely nothing off him. I mean, I'd give him a 5, and that's going by his standards as such. I thought he was just, compared to what you usually see off a Kyle Walker in a game, he was basically non-existent. Yeah, done his bit of defending when he had to do, but nothing special apart from that first pass. So I'd give him a 5. John Stones, again, not at his best. Why? Because he hasn't had the best of seasons for injuries. And he still had a respectable game, though. He did what he had to do. He defended. 1 or 2 times he nearly cost us, but he fixed up the mistakes he made basically as soon as he made them. So I give him a 6. He had a good enough game. So we go to that Mark Gurry, however you pronounce his bloody name. For me, he was our man of the match all day long. I'll give him an 8, even a 9. I thought he was that good. Same as in the first game. In the first game, I thought the only player that could contend with him was Declan Rice, because I thought Declan Rice had a brilliant game in the first one. It might not look like he'd done nothing special, but he'd done exactly what he was put there to do. But going back to Mark Guru, I think he had an excellent game. I'll give him a 9. I mean, he's one of the ones who is totally fresh at all this international. I mean, this is his only, his second international game, like in a tournament-wise. And he has been excellent. And one thing he's definitely gone and done just in those 2 games is turned himself around from a 50 million defender to an 80, 90 million defender. I thought he was brilliant. And that shot he also blocked at the end that saved our arse. Yeah, I think he had an excellent game. And see, Steve D, what you're saying here. It's telling ex-players like Shearer and Rio were openly questioning tactics. You never hear ex-players criticising the manager. It's an unwritten rule. Kane was almost playing central defensive midfield. Yeah, but in that last game, wasn't it good that Kane did get back once, because he headed it straight off the line? That is why Kane is just such an excellent player that in some ways doesn't get the credit he deserves. Because how many times did he do that at Spurs, getting back when maybe he should have been forward, but then cleared it off the line? Because he's a bloody good defender as well. He's one of the most complete players on this planet. But he's, with the team we've got and everything, he needs to stay up more. Because there were several times I see it happen when we actually got the ball in midfield and Bellingham was actually past Kane and there's just no one there to pass the ball to. So how are we meant to get it forward? So in that case, Kane has got to go forward more. But when everyone's sitting back so much, what can the man do? And Chelsea supporters saying, yeah, what is your ideal England team? All right, just for you, I'll repeat it one more time. I'd leave the team as it is, except take out Trent, put in Bellingham there, Foden in the middle, Gordon on the left. That is my ideal one. And Mark Cook, what you're saying here, Southgate has only one way of playing. He can't change up players in wrong position, so and so on forth. To me, it doesn't even look like he's got one style of playing. I don't even think he knows he's playing A. And I think that is one of the major problems. I really don't even think he knows what he wants to do in his plan A, except just defend. It's the problem that, I mean, Tinman 007, it's the problem that we overrate our players too much. Do you know what? That's not a bad point. But no, I don't think we do. If you go player for player by ratings, what we have got up front, we've got the best striker on the planet. We got one who has been considered through this season the best attacking midfielder on the planet, Bellingham. I mean, he's already called world class and everything. For me, he's got to take another step or two to get to world class, but that's just personal opinions. But another out and out quality player there. Foden, up there with the best, without a doubt. Saka, we all know he's a quality player. And then we've got other options. And then Declan Rice, quality player. Maybe not world class, whatever, and that I know that, but quality player. So I don't think we necessarily overrate the players too much. I think what we do is overrate what we think England can do too much, is the way I would put it. Because England just looks like, same as it always has looked like when we had that golden team of Rio Ferdinand in it, Gerrard in it, Lampard in it, Beckham in it, and the list can go on. The golden generation, as they called them, they still done nothing, and it didn't work. And we had some of the best players on the planet then. But then a lot of teams also had significantly good players as well. You look at us player for player, if you want to judge a player for player, I can't actually really think of a better team out there, except possibly France. But apart from that, if you want to do it as a player for player, we have got the best or second best team in that tournament. But as a team, it don't work, and it never has done for England. And Ben, what you're saying here, the winter break in Germany has been so for many years. The bond and the do-like training during time anyway. Away. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, mate. They've done it for God knows, like 20, 30 years, whatever. It's just a lot of people don't actually know that. And that's not that they don't know anything about football. It's just who actually checks up on something like that. Or you only end up knowing about that when someone tells you about it. And a lot of people don't actually know that. But when did England get a chance to do that? We don't. They have their month off. They look after their clubs and they look after their international level. That's one thing England does not do. So I go to Trippier. I'll give him a 6 because I personally think he did as good as he could do. I don't think there was much more he could do. He had to stay back most of the time. And then times when he did get the ball, where he's in the wrong position, he's had to put it onto his right foot. By then, he's already closed down. I think Trippier did as good as he could do. And again, he covered the defence. And he did as good as he could do. Really. So now I go more into the middle. Declan Rice, for me, that was shocking. I'm going to be nice here when I say I'll give him a 3, I think. He was useless. I think he blocked the ball once from what I saw on there. And after that, he was too busy arguing with other players on the team. I mean, him and Bellingham definitely had a bit of a fallout. I give Declan Rice a 3 at the best. At the very best. He did nothing. You could even say give the man a 2 if you want. He's done absolutely nothing. But I'll give him a 3. Trent Alexander-Arnold, for me, he gets a 2. He had to come off again. 1 or 2 good passes in the first 10, 15 minutes. And then, like in the first game, just totally out of place. It totally showed. Get him off that pitch. And we go and then make the same sub. We go and make the same sub again. And Gallagher, for me, is just starting to show more and more. I don't want him at Spurs. Did Gallagher do any better than Trent when he came on? No. Was he any better than Rice? No. And from what I've seen in the past 2 games, Gallagher, I don't want him at Spurs. I don't think he's better than anything we've got at Spurs. So with this international thing, and Ange is meant to be actually there watching it on ITV as far as I know, hopefully he's learning something or 2 about Gallagher there, that if it is him who picks the players, that I don't want him. I don't want him there. And let's just hope he does learn by what he's looking at there. But yeah, Trent Alexander-Arnold, give him a 2. He was terrible. Bellingham. I'll read out a couple more and then go to Bellingham because he was one I was very disappointed in. I think we all were. And Rob Oyes, Southgate and his League 2 backroom staff like Hasselbank were talking the Burton Albanian dream team here and wonder why we get this serial. Yep, I totally agree with you, mate. And mapping, Germany has such a balance in their team with youngsters, experience, blending. Well, only thing they lay back is a proper striker. Yep, Havertz is, crap. But even Arsenal have got Havertz looking all right. I mean, compared to what he was at Chelsea, even Arsenal have got him looking as good as Richarlison. If you play a player in the right position, you can make a poor player okay. Now, Germans over the last 10 years, I mean, when has Southgate actually beat a team rated out of the top 10? He has. People say, yeah, we beat Germany. But when we beat Germany, I think they was rated something like 12th or 15th, something along those lines, something in between there. And Germany have had a very poor few years, but they're just getting their act back together. And a lot of people saw this and said, yeah, all right, I could put Germany up there because it's like a home tournament for them. One thing I've said all my life that I've liked football since I was a teenager with other friends that I know I've got watching this, that never write off the Germans. You don't do it. You just don't do it. No matter how poor they are or how good, you don't write them off. With teams I've seen over the years, international teams, whether it's been that excellent Spanish team, Brazilian team, French team. I've seen German teams out there that have had some very, very good players. But player for player, you wouldn't say they was as good at the French team at the time or as good as the Brazilian team at the time. But one thing you can always bet 99% on is that German team knows each other. You could put a bloody scarf around their heads, make them blind, spin them around 5 times on the pitch and just put them all in random positions, and they would still know where every other player who plays with them is. Germany, for me, have always been the most completely aware team out there, if I think that's the way to put it. Not saying the best, but they've always been the most aware. Even when they've been poor, they always know where their teammate is going to be. Always. And that is a big part. That is a big part in being a quality team. If you haven't got the quality players, then that obviously lets you down. But Germany have always been the most complete mental team out there, I would think is the better way to put it. And it is because they have that month together to learn together. And Alex, what are you saying here? Germany will win it. They're very well organised. Organised. That's the word I wanted to use. Organised. Organised as ever. And they're hurt teams, the final third. And all because of the young progressive manager. That's a big part to do with it as well, doesn't it? But yeah, Germany, they're always organised, even when they're poor. And if we finish second and then come up against Germany, we are, well, I don't think it matters who we come up against. I think we're screwed. Steve D, Saka is the ideal solution for left back. Started his career and under 21 in that position, frees up Palmer to play. I can't agree with that one. I mean, maybe he did, but I can't say I ever saw it myself, so I can't agree with it. I can't necessarily say you're wrong, but I just cannot picture Saka playing as a left back, if I've read that right. And he's right-footed. So I don't see how that one would work. And Steve D just saying to Brian, morning mate, and mapping what you saying. When I watch wingers like Yanni Vinicius, Rodrigo, and all, Saka doesn't even come close to them. Saka's a different type of player to them. He is. Saka is he's a quality player. Not world class, like a lot of Arsenal players, supporters mainly say he is world class. But then I've always been one who sat here and said that Son isn't world class and never was world class. Excellent player, but for me, he was not world class. I think world class is a phrase that just gets used way too easy. Way too easy these days. Why? Because I think there is actually such a lack of world class players. It gets used so much easier. You go and take some of these players now that they consider world class back 20 years, they wouldn't even kiss the boots of half the players out there. Purely my opinion. And mapping what you're saying, Saka is a good player, but he isn't a world beater and deemed to be a world. That's basically what I've just said, mate. Totally agree with you there. And Brian just talking with mapping there. What are you saying? Would be good at Spurs. David would be good at Spurs. I absolutely love Tojan. I can't pronounce second name. And wish we got him instead of Inter. I know who you're on about now. Hopefully he'll come to Spurs after. I know who you're on about. Inter have always been good at getting players on a freebie as well. I mean, Inter's my second team. One player I wanted us to get at Spurs when he was out on the free was Marcus Thuram, and Inter went and done it. And yeah, Inter went and done it. And that is one thing Inter have always been brilliant at, and that is getting the players for free, basically. And Brian, what you're saying here, HotspurHood, Dan, my brother, the thumbnail is absolutely brilliant. I try with my thumbnails. Some people don't like them and say, why do you do such weird thumbnails and that? I like to just do a thumbnail that's going to go into what I'm going to try and talk about, debate about, whatever else. It's just something I like personally doing. Whereas if others like it or not, you've only got to look at it once before you watch the show. So it's neither here nor there to me. But thanks, Brian. That's appreciated. And mapping, Saka can't lace Mr. Boots. Are you on about the one I'm thinking there of is a young German midfielder? I mean, I'm terrible at pronouncing names and reading names out. It's got to be my worst part out there. Pronouncing other names, I haven't got the accent for it. And Steve D, what are you saying to Brian? Good, mate. Nice to see you back. back at it again and on the mend. Yep, and Angus saying morning all. Mapping saying Arsenal fans overhype Saka and Rice. Rice, I don't think so. I think Rice is an excellent player, especially if you play him in the right position. And you can see the difference he made for Arsenal last season. No two ways about it. He's a very, very good player. Is he same as Saka? Is he world class? Not a chance in hell, but very good player. And Gary Dave, sack him and give it to Redknapp for the rest of the Euros. Can't be any worse. Not a Spurs fan, but love your channel. Thanks a lot, mate. It's appreciated. And Tony, the players hate Southgate. You know what, mate? It is honestly looking like there is a problem on that pitch. Like at the end of the season with Spurs and that, it started looking like some of the players have actually got a problem with the manager or the style of play, something along those lines. And it is starting to look like that these players, I said it at the start, Tony, that they're really starting to, they're not digging it. They don't like it. So I agree with you. I wouldn't say hate him, but it is really starting to look that way. So while I try and roll this, I'll try and say about Bellingham. I mean, for me, he gets a 4. Yeah, he done 1 or 2 things on there, but if you're going to go by a player of his standards, of what is expected of him, and also he played very good in that first game, he was terrible. I mean, at times, he was further back. I just don't think Bellingham in that game knew where to be. At times, he was further back than Declan Rice. And then at other times, he got the ball, he was further forward than Harry Kane. Who do you blame for that? Is it because Harry Kane's so far back and should have been forward, or is it Declan Rice should have been that, or is it that Bellingham should have been a bit further back to hold the ball? I suppose there's loads of ways you can look on it. But for me, Bellingham, especially by a player of his standards, he gets a 4. He was poor. Same as the rest of that team. So we go over to Saka. You wouldn't believe I don't smoke a lot. You really wouldn't. It is purely when I come on here and start talking about football, mainly about Spurs, that I end up smoking. Otherwise, I barely even smoke 10 a day. I think it's just out of frustration. And now that we're sitting there talking about England, it's just as bloody frustrating. But yeah, Saka, I'll give him a 6. Because Saka did actually try, and he did really try to get involved in that game. When he came off, we should have stuck Palmer on there. Why we didn't stick Palmer on, I don't know. But when Eze came on as well, Eze didn't. I mean, like I say, Saka, give him a 6 because he tried. It looked like he tried harder than some of the other players. He put his effort in, but he just got knocked about as he does. Because that is the one way you sort of Saka out, take him out, basically. That's how I see that one. Foden, however, you know what? I'll give him a 7. And people are going to think, how have you done that? There's a reason I give him a 7. Again, he was put out on the left where it's not his prime position. But if I remember right, in about 3-4 different times I see him from the centre run the ball straight through the middle. And then he's clear for a pass. There's no one on the left, no one on the right. Bellingham's behind him, Kane's behind him. 3 or 4 times that happened. And to me, that shows perfectly why you should play him as the number 10, because that is where he done his best. And I'll give him a 7, because there was, like I said, 3 or 4 times that if the other players was in the positions they were meant to be, he would have had someone to pass to. But Foden, I think he had a much better game. And the reason I purely give him the 7 is because from when he was playing through the middle, like he should be doing. It is just so frustrating. And Wayne, what you're saying there, how on God's green earth did Højbjerg get man of the match? He had a good game. Simple as that. He had a good game. He had a better game than any of our midfield. Whether it's Højbjerg or not, forget about that. He had a better game than anyone in our midfield. In that game, you could have put Højbjerg as 7 or 8. What have I just rated our midfield? Terrible. So we go at Kane. Kane. I do feel sorry for the man. Will telling him stay forward, there's a number 10 there, whatever else. But when the whole team's sitting so far back, like the bloody manager tells him to do, he's going to come back as well and not be there when it's needed. But you can't. He scored a goal. But apart from that, you give him a 5 because I think he only touched the ball about 5 other times. So, frustration. Now, do you see the one who I did think did make a bit of a difference? You see when he brought on Walker, and the amusing thing is, it was I was on the phone to my mate Mike. We were just talking about like how poor the game was and how a couple of subs that could be made. And it was my mate Mike who said, bring on Watkins, because he's actually got the pace to be sitting back like Kane because everyone's coming back, but then also got the pace to get up there for a long direct ball to come through to get onto it. And he nearly did as soon as he came on. And I think Watkins, I'll give him a 6, 7 even, because when he came on, he tried, and he really tried to make a difference. But again, with a poor passing and England sitting back so much, what else can a striker do? But I thought he done respectful when he came on, and I think Watkins definitely deserves a bit of credit. I mean, are we even at a time looking at this England team where we should go to a 3-5-2 formation and just play 3 at the back, bring Walker in with Stones and Guire there, and then play 2 up front? I mean, it's obviously who the midfield would be with Bellingham, Rice next to him, and then the right-hand side, obviously you can go Saka or Palmer, and on the left-hand side, they'd still probably find a way to put Foden there, but stick Palmer on the left. Up front, would Watkins and Kane work together? Kane drip a bit further back and have Watkins as the pace going forward. We all know that Southgate won't change anything, so we could talk about all that as much as we want. The last I'm going to say to this is read for a couple of people on here because I've got to go. I'm already over an hour. And that game yesterday was just absolutely shocking. And Angus, what you're saying, you lot really think that you'll win the Euros. No, I don't. Others might do, mate, but no, I don't. Reptile Keeper, when they showed the players in the tunnel at half-time, they all looked as though they wanted to be somewhere else. No energy, no urgency to get back out and to turn things around. Exactly, mate. It just looks like that even the players just don't care or respect where they are, that they're playing for their country. It looks like they couldn't give a fuck. Sorry to say that so early in the morning, but, well, nearly afternoon. But it's the only way I can put that one. They just look like they could not give a toss. And Steve D, for Shearer to openly say Southgate is not getting the most out of these players was telling. It does. I mean, what did he ever do with England as well? He scored goals, yeah, but what has any English player ever done with England? They've never won anything. And Robert, big up, Dan, big up to you too, mate. Jessica, what you're saying there. Also, Saka, I felt, was static, hardly moved into space and made runs. No, in the first half, I thought he really tried, and he did. But second half, it was the same thing with him. He did need to come off. But first half, I actually thought Saka did actually try and get the ball forward a bit and get in some positions. But he ended up, where everyone else came back, he ended up coming back and back to square one again, aren't we? And mapping what you're saying, Højbjerg had Rice, Bellingham and Trent on his neck and he was bullying them. Yeah, 100%. Totally agree with that, mate. Couldn't have put it back myself. That is why he got man of the match. I thought Højbjerg had a brilliant game. He had a really good game. And if you want to go by standards, in that game, you would have watched it and you would have thought Højbjerg was a world-class player. That is how bad England was. And Audio, what you're saying, we need a world-class goalkeeper. I think Pickford's fine. England has always had a poor choice in goalkeepers, really. Bar maybe when you go back to David Seaman. But we've always had a poor choice in keepers. But I think Pickford's fine. I mean, you look at the penalty shootout against Italy, he saved penalties and that. Pickford, I think Pope's a better player. I think Pope's a better keeper. But Pickford, you can't argue with him. He's done fine for England, same as Maguire does. Yeah. England does have any goalkeepers anywhere near world class. I agree. We ain't had one since Seaman. Yeah, I'm not even read that off you, mate. Obviously we're thinking the same thing. Trust me, I hadn't even read it to that bit. But the goalkeeper isn't our problem. It's not the problem. Pickford is good enough for what he does, and he does a good job at it. But you're right, he's not world class. And Rob Oyer, England won by a PR machine in which on the pitch objectives are the least priorities. Same shit, different tournament, same England. And Angus, what you're saying, when Watkins came on, he made us look a lot better. He did. He got forward. He had the pace. And as soon as he came on, he actually nearly got a goal literally straight away. Rob's saying Kane needs the speed around him. At this point in his career, that is crucial. It always has been. Kane is not fast. He's always been a Teddy Sheringham sort of thing. Not quite that slow. But Kane's always had the brains to be 3-4 steps ahead of everyone. But what I'm going to have to do is, I can't go through everybody on the air, otherwise I'll be sitting here another few hours because keeping up with the talk is really hard. But thanks for everyone for coming on this morning and listening to me have a moan about that. And I think a few people have got their moan out about that game themselves. How are we going to go and do against Slovenia? Yeah, we should win that. But after that match, nothing would surprise me. And it's definitely not looking good for us out there, is it? I mean, you can't say there's much hope there. But who knows? It's a tournament. Anything can change in a couple of games. So let's try and be positive about this. Not that there is much to be positive about. But anyway, people, thanks for watching us this morning. Much appreciated. Don't ask very often, but if you give us a quick like and subscribe, always helps. And always to the regulars and new people on here and everyone who's left a message. Much appreciated. Hope you all have a good day. And hopefully by Tuesday, I hope everyone's recovered for that England game for the next one. Because I think we're going to need to. Take care, everyone. Have a good day. I'ma turn it up and then I'm gonna take it down. Turn it up and then I'm gonna take it down.